First, a brief diagram to show how things are set up in our lab. We have Route 53 resolving our test domain, and that is pointing to an AWS application load balancer. The communication from the load balancer is sent on to either of two Apache web servers, both running on EC2. And that communication is using HTTP between the load balancer and the web servers. And the application load balancer is accepting only HTTPS traffic, and the TLS session is being terminated on the load balancer itself. To show our configuration of the load balancer, here is our load balancer going to our target web server's target group. And we can see that it only has a listener on TCP 443, and that it is using the ELB security policy 2016-8. This is the default security policy that comes up with an application load balancer. To see the settings that are enabled by that policy, we go to the AWS documentation for elastic load balancing, creating an HTTPS listener over here. And we can see that this policy supports TLS version 1, 1.1, and 1.2, as well as a wide selection of Cipher suites. To demonstrate that things are working, we'll refresh our page until we see both web servers here. We see web server 2 and web server 1 showing up here on our test page. And then we'll also look at an SSL server, SSL Labs server test, and we see that SSL Labs has capped this particular grade at a B, given that it is supporting both TLS 1.0 and 1.1 in addition to TLS version 1.2. We should never just look at this up here and say, ooh, a B, that sounds great. We should also scroll down and look at the details. In this case, we'll scroll down. We see that TLS 1.0 and 1.1 are both supported in addition to 1.2. SSL versions 2 and 3 are not supported, and we can even see the Cipher suites that are supported through this. One thing that is nice about SSL Labs is they give you this handshake simulation. What type of connection would be made by different types of devices? And we can see, for instance, IE7 or Vista, neither of which are supported, obviously, will only be able to make a TLS 1.0 connection, and so on and so forth. We can see different types of handshake simulations and whether or not a connection will be successful and to what version of TLS the connection will be made to. So now let's change our configuration to support a better version here, a more secure version. As we know, TLS 1.0 suffers from several fatal flaws. TLS 1.1 can be configured around those flaws, but especially with wide support for TLS 1.2 and even for TLS version 1.3 coming out, we should really think twice even about supporting TLS 1.1 at this point. So let's configure our load balancer, and so then editing our security policy, we can see here that we have several choices, and we're going to scroll down until we see specifically this one right here. This says that it supports forward secrecy, version 1.2 for TLS, restricted Cipher suites, and then the date at which this policy was created. And so we will update that, and we see that we successfully modified this listener, and can come back over here to our web page, refresh a few times, make sure that we're getting to both web servers. Sure enough, web server 1 and 2 are showing up. And then look at an updated version of SSL Labs run after our change, and we see that it is now graded at an A, with protocol support being all the way up to the top at 100, scoring out of 100 on that. Scrolling down to see the details, we see that we do only support TLS version 1.2. These other ones are all no, and our limited set of Cipher suites. Specifically, SSL Labs is complaining because we do support CBC mode, Cipher blockchaining mode in AES. It is a good practice to disable Cipher blockchaining mode wherever possible, regardless of whether it's AES 3DES or any other Camellia or any other block cipher being used there. CBC mode is not favored in TLS connections. But we do have a significantly more secure TLS configuration supporting only TLS 1.2 with strong ciphers. If it is necessary to support a wider Cipher Suite set, then we can also select this right here, forward secrecy TLS 1.2 without the restricted tag on that. And this will support only TLS version 1.2 while also supporting a slightly wider set of ciphers.